The fiery incident. On a sunny afternoon, the streets of Maplewood were buzzing with life. People rushed around, going about their daily routines. In the midst of this hustle and bustle, a black police car sped down the street, sirens blaring. Inside the car was Officer Reed, a dedicated officer known for his hard work and commitment to the community. He was on his way to respond to a call about a possible disturbance at the local park. As Officer Reed rounded the corner, he noticed something unusual. A large truck was parked in the middle of the road, its engine running. With a quick glance, Reed realized it was blocking the path. He pressed down on the gas pedal, trying to move past the truck. Suddenly, without warning, the truck driver swerved to avoid a pothole, causing the truck to spin out of control. "Look out!" Officer Reed shouted, but it was too late. The police car collided with the truck in a deafening crash. The impact was so severe that it sent the car tumbling onto its side. In an instant, the car's engine sparked and erupted into flames. Thick black smoke billowed into the air, filling the street with a sense of chaos and danger. Across the street, Marcus was walking home from his job at the local grocery store. He heard the crash and turned to see flames licking the side of the police car. His heart raced as he realized that someone was inside. Without thinking, he dashed across the street, adrenaline pushing him forward. He knew he had to help. As he ran, Marcus's mind raced with thoughts. What if the officer is trapped? He could see the silhouette of a figure inside the burning vehicle, desperately trying to escape. The flames danced wildly, and the heat was intense, but Marcus felt a surge of determination. When he reached the overturned car, he felt a rush of fear. The sight was terrifying. Flames crackled and popped as they consumed the vehicle. Marcus could see Officer Reed struggling, his hands clawing at the door, trying to push it open. The panic in Reed's eyes made Marcus's heart ache. "Hold on, I'm coming," Marcus yelled, trying to sound brave. He quickly assessed the situation. The door was pinned under the weight of the car, making it almost impossible to open. Marcus knew he had to act fast. He looked around for anything that could help him. Just then, he noticed a metal pipe lying nearby. Without hesitation, he grabbed it and used it to pry at the door. His muscles strained as he pushed against the heavy metal, sweat pouring down his face. "Please, just a little more," he thought, focusing all his strength on the task at hand. "Come on, just a little bit more," he shouted, his voice trained. The flames were getting closer, licking at the edges of the car. He could feel the heat radiating off the metal, making it difficult to breathe. But he didn't give up. With one final push, the door creaked and began to give way. Finally, with a loud crash, the door swung open. Marcus quickly reached in and grabbed Officer Reed, pulling him out with all his might. The officer tumbled onto the ground, gasping for air. Marcus fell back beside him, breathing heavily. "Thank you," Officer Reed coughed, his voice hoarse. His uniform was singed, and his face was smeared with soot. He looked at Marcus with wide eyes, still in shock from the ordeal. Marcus nodded, still catching his breath. "Let's get away from here," he urged. They scrambled to their feet just as the police car exploded in a burst of flames. The shockwave knocked them both back, sending them sprawling onto the pavement. As they lay there, watching the chaos unfold, Marcus felt a strange mix of relief and fear. He had saved a life today. But the danger was far from over. People were beginning to gather, some gasping at the scene, others pulling out their phones to record. The sound of sirens filled the air as more emergency vehicles rushed to the scene. Officer Reed sat up, looking at Marcus with a newfound respect. "You really saved my life," he said, his voice steadying. "I didn't think anyone would get to me in time." Marcus shrugged, feeling a little embarrassed. "I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. You were in trouble." As they both stood up, the crowd began to clap and cheer. They had witnessed Marcus's bravery, and it sparked a wave of admiration. But Marcus felt uneasy. He had acted on instinct, and now he was facing the attention of strangers. What would happen next? He glanced at Officer Reed, wondering if this moment would change his life forever. In that instant, as the flames flickered behind them and the crowd grew, Marcus had no idea that this was just the beginning of a remarkable journey. A journey that would lead to unexpected connections, challenges, and revelations. The day had started like any other, but it would end up changing everything. The sirens grew louder, and Marcus's heart raced again, not from fear, but from anticipation. What lay ahead was unknown, and the audience could feel the suspense building as the scene faded, leaving them eager for what was to come next. The unexpected call. After the fiery incident, the emergency responders quickly arrived at the scene. Firefighters battled the flames while paramedics rushed to check on Officer Reed and Marcus. As the smoke cleared, the crowd began to disperse, but not without whispering about the heroic act they had just witnessed. Marcus felt a wave of relief wash over him. He had saved a life, but he also felt a sense of anxiety creeping in. What would happen now? Would he be recognized for his actions, or would he just blend back into the crowd? Officer Reed was being treated for his injuries, and Marcus took a step back, feeling like a spectator in his own life. After a while, Officer Reed was cleared by the paramedics. He looked around for Marcus, who stood at a distance, watching the chaos. With a wave, Officer Reed called out to him, "Hey, come here." Marcus hesitated but then walked over. He could feel the eyes of the crowd on him, and the attention made him nervous. What would they think of him? Would they see him as a hero or just another bystander? "Thank you for what you did," Officer Reed said, genuine gratitude in his voice. "You really saved my life today." Marcus shrugged, trying to downplay the situation. "I just did what anyone would do," he replied, though he knew that wasn't true. Most people wouldn't have acted so quickly. "I'm just glad you're okay." Reed smiled, but there was something more in his eyes. Curiosity. "I'd like to get to know you better. Do you have a phone number?" Caught off guard, Marcus hesitated but finally nodded. He pulled out his phone and shared his number. As they exchanged details, Officer Reed's expression shifted to something serious. "I have a feeling this isn't the last time we'll be seeing each other." As the officers and firefighters wrapped up their work, the scene began to calm down. Marcus made his way home, but the excitement of the day left his mind racing. The unexpected encounter had changed everything. But how? Later that evening, Marcus settled on his couch, the weight of the day still heavy on his shoulders. He turned on the news to see if they would cover the story. As he watched the report, he was surprised to see footage of the incident, including clips of him pulling Officer Reed from the wreckage. The newscaster praised Marcus's bravery, and the words "local hero" rang in his ears. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. A text message lit up the screen. It was from Officer Reed. "Hey, it's Reed. Just wanted to check in on you. You okay?" Marcus felt a smile spread across his face as he typed back, "I'm good. Just watching the news. Crazy day." "Crazy day indeed." Reed replied, "I was just thinking, would you like to grab a coffee tomorrow? I'd love to talk more." Marcus felt a rush of excitement mixed with nervousness. Would he really get to meet the officer he had saved? He quickly replied, "Sure, that sounds great." The next morning, Marcus woke up feeling a sense of anticipation. He had never imagined he would form a friendship with a police officer, let alone one whose life he had saved. After getting ready, he headed to the cafe where they agreed to meet. As he entered, he spotted Reed sitting at a table, his uniform still crisp and clean. He looked up and waved, a smile spreading across his face. Marcus felt a wave of warmth at the sight. It was strange how quickly things had changed. "Hey, thanks for coming," Reed said as Marcus approached. "I wanted to talk more about what happened yesterday. You really did something amazing." "Thanks, but I just did what anyone else would have done," Marcus said, trying to remain humble. "Not everyone would jump into a burning car," Reed replied, raising an eyebrow. You have guts, and I want to make sure you know that. They sat down, and as they sipped their coffees, the conversation flowed easily. They talked about their lives, their families, and their dreams. Reed shared stories from his time on the force, and Marcus opened up about his aspirations to work in community service. I've always wanted to make a difference in my neighborhood, Marcus admitted. It feels like sometimes people need someone to stand up for them. I feel the same way, Reed nodded. That's why I joined the police force. I want to help people, but sometimes it can feel like we're fighting an uphill battle. As they spoke, a bond began to form between them. Marcus realized that Reed was not just an officer. He was a person with hopes and struggles, just like anyone else. And Reed saw Marcus as more than just a civilian. He recognized him as a hero. The conversation turned to the incident again, and Reed's expression grew serious. I want to thank you properly. If you're comfortable, I'd like to nominate you for a commendation. You deserve to be recognized for your bravery. Marcus was taken aback. A commendation. I didn't do it for recognition. I just wanted to help. I know, but your actions deserve to be acknowledged, Reed insisted. You saved my life. It could have been a different story if you hadn't been there. Feeling a mix of pride and humility, Marcus nodded. If it helped spread awareness about the importance of helping each other, then I'm all for it. As they finished their coffees, the air was thick with an unspoken understanding. They were two men from different backgrounds who had come together through a remarkable event. Little did they know, this friendship would lead to even more incredible moments and challenges in the future. Marcus left the cafe with a feeling of hope in his heart. He had forged a connection that felt significant, and the world seemed just a little brighter. But as he stepped outside, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger story. What awaited them on this journey would change both their lives forever. The commendation ceremony. The sun shone brightly on the day of the commendation ceremony. Marcus woke up feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. He had never been recognized for anything so significant before. After the heroic rescue, Officer Reed had been adamant about nominating him, and today was the day they would gather with the community to celebrate. As he got dressed, Marcus replayed the events in his mind. The fire, the chaos, and his decision to act, all of it felt surreal. He thought about Reed and how their friendship had grown in such a short time. It was strange to think he would be sharing a stage with a police officer, speaking in front of the community. When Marcus arrived at the community center, he was surprised to see a large crowd gathered. Families, friends, and local leaders had come to honor the brave act. The room was decorated with banners that read, "Community Heroes," and "Thank you for your bravery." As he walked in, he felt a wave of warmth. People were chatting and laughing, creating an atmosphere of camaraderie. Reed spotted him from across the room and waved him over. "Hey, you made it," Reed exclaimed, his face beaming with enthusiasm. "Yeah, I wouldn't miss it," Marcus replied, feeling the excitement build inside him. "I'm glad," Reed said, looking a bit nervous himself. "I've got a speech to give, but I wanted you to be here first." As they talked, Marcus could see the pride in Reed's eyes. The officer had been preparing for this day as well, and he could sense how much it meant to him. Reed glanced at the stage where a podium was set up, and they could hear the voices of the local leaders welcoming everyone. "Just remember," Reed said, leaning closer, "you're a part of this. You deserve this recognition as much as I do." The ceremony began with local officials sharing stories of heroism from the community. They spoke about the importance of coming together and supporting one another in times of need. Marcus listened intently, his heart swelling with pride. Then it was time for Reed's speech. As he walked up to the podium, Marcus felt a rush of anticipation. The room quieted, and all eyes turned to the officer. "Thank you all for being here today," Reed began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Today, we honor bravery and selflessness, qualities that define our community." Marcus watched as Reed continued, sharing the story of the rescue. Yesterday, I found myself in a situation that could have ended very differently. But thanks to the quick thinking and courage of Marcus Johnson, I am standing here today. The crowd erupted in applause, and Marcus felt his face flush with warmth. He hadn't expected such a strong reaction. Reed went on to describe the moments leading up to the rescue, emphasizing how vital it was to have someone willing to step up. I am honored to nominate Marcus for a commendation. He is a true hero who embodies the spirit of our community, Reed concluded, looking directly at Marcus. As Reed stepped down from the podium, the applause grew louder. People were cheering and shouting, "Thank you, Marcus." It felt surreal to be on the receiving end of such admiration. Then it was Marcus's turn to speak. He stepped up to the microphone, his heart racing. "I just want to say thank you for this honor," he began, trying to steady his voice. "But I didn't do it alone. I acted because I saw a life in danger, and that's what any of us would do." His words resonated with the crowd. He spoke about the importance of looking out for one another and how everyone in the community had the power to make a difference. Together, we can create a safer and more supportive environment for everyone. Marcus finished, his heart full of hope. The crowd erupted in applause again, and he felt a wave of appreciation wash over him. After the ceremony, people approached Marcus to congratulate him. Some shared their own stories of bravery, while others simply expressed gratitude for his actions. Reed stood beside him, beaming with pride. "This is just the beginning," Reed said, leaning in to speak to Marcus. "We can do great things together." As they exchanged numbers again, Marcus felt a newfound purpose. With Reed's support, he realized they could make a real difference in their community. Later that evening, Marcus received a call from Reed. "Hey, I was thinking, why don't we start a community program? Something that encourages people to help each other. We could call it Neighbors Helping Neighbors." "That sounds amazing," Marcus replied, his excitement bubbling over. "We can set up meetings, organize events, and create a support system for everyone." The two spent the next few hours brainstorming ideas, mapping out plans for their program. They envisioned a community where everyone looked out for one another, where acts of kindness were celebrated, and where no one felt alone. As they wrapped up their call, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the start of something big. The world could be a better place, and he was ready to be a part of that change. With Reed by his side, they would make a difference, one act of kindness at a time. The unexpected call. Days turned into weeks after the commendation ceremony, and life for Marcus had changed in ways he never imagined. The community was buzzing with energy after the event, and many people reached out to him to share their own stories and offer support. He felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. It was empowering to know that his actions had inspired others. One afternoon, as Marcus sat in his modest apartment, he received an unexpected call. The phone rang loudly, breaking the quiet of his day. He glanced at the screen and saw that it was Officer Reed. A wave of excitement washed over him. "Hey, Marcus." Reed greeted him enthusiastically when he answered. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything." "Not at all. What's up?" Marcus replied, eager to hear what Reed had to say. "I have some great news. The police department wants to recognize you further," Reed said, his voice bubbling with excitement. "They're hosting a community safety fair next month, and they want you to be the keynote speaker." "Me? Why?" Marcus asked, surprised. He had never thought of himself as someone who could give speeches, especially to a large audience. "They believe your story has made a huge impact. They want you to share it and inspire more people to get involved in their communities," Reed explained. "It's a chance to encourage others to help one another, just like you did." Marcus felt a mix of emotions: fear, excitement, and pride. "Wow, I don't know what to say. That's incredible, but I've never spoken in front of so many people before." "You'll do great," Reed reassured him. "I'll be there to support you, and we can work on your speech together. Just think of it as another chance to spread positivity." Marcus took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "Okay, I'm in. Let's do this." The two spent the next few weeks preparing for the fair. They met regularly to discuss ideas, outline the speech, and practice in front of each other. Reed helped Marcus focus on the key messages he wanted to convey: the importance of community, kindness, and taking action when it mattered most. As the day of the safety fair approached, the excitement in the air was palpable. The event was set to take place in the local park, where families would gather for a day of activities, information, and inspiration. Booths would be set up for different organizations, and various community leaders would also speak. On the day of the fair, Marcus arrived early to help set up. The sun was shining brightly, and the smell of fresh grass filled the air. He watched as families arrived, children laughing and playing. The atmosphere was filled with positivity and hope, and he felt proud to be a part of it. As the fair kicked off, Marcus helped at a booth dedicated to community safety programs. He spoke with parents about how they could involve their children in local initiatives, emphasizing the importance of teaching young people about compassion and helping others. People seemed genuinely interested, and Marcus could see the spark of motivation in their eyes. After several hours of interacting with attendees, it was time for Marcus to take the stage. He felt his heart race as he walked up to the podium. The crowd gathered, and the noise slowly faded as he cleared his throat, trying to calm his nerves. "Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today," he began, his voice shaking slightly but gaining strength with every word. "My name is Marcus Johnson, and I want to share a story with you." He started with the incident that had changed his life, the day he rescued Officer Reed from the burning car. As he spoke, he saw people nodding and listening intently. He could feel their energy and connection, and it fueled his confidence. "I never thought I would be standing here," he continued, "but what I learned is that we all have the power to help one another. It's not just about big acts of bravery. It's the small things we do every day that make a difference." He shared personal anecdotes about the kindness he had experienced in his life and how important it was to pay it forward. The crowd reacted positively, clapping and cheering as he spoke passionately about community and compassion. As he wrapped up his speech, he looked around at the faces in the crowd. "Let's build a community where everyone feels supported and valued. Together, we can create a safer, kinder world. Thank you." The applause was thunderous, and Marcus felt a rush of happiness wash over him. Reed stood at the front, beaming with pride. He had done it. He had shared his story and inspired others. After the speech, people approached him to express their gratitude and share how they were motivated to help others in their own lives. Marcus felt overwhelmed with joy. This was the change he had hoped for. Later that day, Reed joined Marcus as they walked through the fair. "You were amazing up there," he said, clapping Marcus on the back. "Thanks. I was so nervous, but it felt great to share my story," Marcus replied, still buzzing from the experience. They chatted about their plans for the future, discussing ways to expand their community program, Neighbors Helping Neighbors. With their passion and commitment, they could make a real impact. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the park, Marcus realized that this was just the beginning. He was ready to embrace his role as a community leader, inspiring others to act with kindness and courage. And with Reed by his side, they were determined to make a difference, one act of compassion at a time. A call for action. After the successful safety fair, Marcus felt invigorated. He had stepped into a role he never imagined for himself, and it filled him with purpose. The response from the community was overwhelming, with people expressing their gratitude and wanting to be involved. The positive energy was contagious. A week later, as Marcus walked through his neighborhood, he noticed something peculiar. A group of teenagers were gathered around a community center, looking lost and unsure. Marcus felt compelled to approach them. "Hey there, what's going on?" he asked, smiling warmly. One of the teenagers, a girl named Kayla, spoke up. "We were trying to organize a youth program here, but we don't know how to start. We wanted to do something fun and meaningful for our community, but it's just so hard." Marcus's heart swelled with pride. He remembered feeling lost himself before his big moment at the safety fair. "I'd love to help you out," he replied, eager to lend a hand. "What kind of program are you thinking about?" The group brightened at his offer, and they began discussing ideas. They wanted to create a space where young people could come together, learn new skills, and engage with their community. Marcus listened carefully, offering suggestions and encouragement. "Why not start with something simple, like a weekly club?" he proposed. "You could focus on different skills each week: art, music, sports, or even community service projects." Kayla's eyes lit up. "That sounds amazing. We could even have guest speakers, like local artists or leaders who inspire us." "Exactly. You all have the energy and ideas to make this happen. Let's set a date to meet and plan it out," Marcus said, feeling excited about the potential. They agreed to meet the following Saturday at the community center. As they parted ways, Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. He realized that this was what he wanted to do: encourage the younger generation to be active and involved in their community. On Saturday, the group gathered, and Marcus walked them through the planning process. They'd brainstormed ideas, created a list of potential speakers, and discussed activities. The teenagers were full of enthusiasm, and it inspired Marcus to see their determination. "Let's create flyers to promote our club," Marcus suggested. "We can put them up around the neighborhood and at local schools." With each meeting, the group grew stronger, and soon they had a plan in place. They named their program Youth for Change, and their first event would be a community cleanup day. The goal was to beautify the local park, instilling pride in their neighborhood. As the day of the event approached, Marcus and the teenagers spread the word. They created posters and handed out flyers, inviting everyone in the community to join them. The excitement was palpable, and Marcus couldn't wait to see their hard work pay off. The day of the cleanup finally arrived, and the weather was perfect, sunny with a gentle breeze. Marcus arrived early to set up, and soon the park was filled with people of all ages, ready to lend a hand. Kayla and her friends greeted everyone with smiles, handing out gloves and trash bags. "Thank you all for coming. Together, we can make a difference," she announced, her voice filled with enthusiasm. Marcus stood back, proud of the initiative they had taken. As the day unfolded, laughter and conversation filled the air. Neighbors who had never spoken before were now working side by side, sharing stories and building connections. As they worked, Marcus noticed a little boy struggling to lift a heavy bag of trash. He rushed over to help, kneeling down beside him. "Hey buddy, let me give you a hand," he said, lifting the bag effortlessly. "Thanks, I want to help," the boy replied, his eyes shining with determination. "That's the spirit. Every little bit counts," Marcus encouraged. By the end of the day, the park looked transformed. It was cleaner and brighter, and the sense of community was stronger than ever. As the sun began to set, the group gathered for a quick celebration, enjoying snacks and refreshments. "Today was amazing," Kayla exclaimed. "We should do this every month." Marcus smiled, feeling proud of what they had achieved together. "Absolutely. This is just the beginning. We can keep building our program and doing more for our community." As the group continued to brainstorm future events, Marcus felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had found his calling, not just as a rescuer, but as a leader and mentor. The young people were not just helping the community, they were becoming empowered to make a difference. The success of the cleanup event attracted the attention of local news outlets, and soon they were reaching out to Marcus for interviews. The story of Youth for Change began to spread, inspiring other communities to take similar actions. Marcus found himself in the spotlight, but he always made sure to credit the teenagers for their hard work. As he stood in front of the camera one afternoon, he spoke about the importance of community engagement. "It's about all of us coming together to make our neighborhood a better place," he emphasized. Everyone has something to contribute, no matter how small. Through this journey, Marcus not only changed his life, but also the lives of many around him. He felt empowered, knowing that he had helped ignite a spark of change in his community. And as he looked at the smiling faces of the young people he had inspired, he knew this was only the beginning of an incredible journey ahead. With renewed determination, Marcus continued to lead by example, proving that one act of kindness could inspire a wave of change that could touch countless lives. The unexpected call. As the sun set on another successful day, Marcus sat at his kitchen table, reflecting on everything that had happened. The Youth for Change program was thriving, and he felt a sense of pride in what the teenagers had accomplished. He poured himself a cup of coffee, thinking about how far he had come since that fateful day he saved Officer Carter. Suddenly, his phone buzzed, pulling him from his thoughts. It was an unknown number, but something told him to answer it. "Hello," Marcus said, unsure of what to expect. "Hi, is this Marcus Williams?" A cheerful voice replied. "Yes, it is. Who's this?" Marcus asked, intrigued. "This is Jessica from the local news station, WXYC. We covered your story about the Youth for Change program, and I wanted to talk to you about a special opportunity." Marcus's heart raced. "Really? What kind of opportunity?" "Well, we're planning a segment highlighting community heroes and impactful initiatives, and we'd love to feature you and the youth involved in your program," Jessica explained. "We think it's inspiring what you're doing, and we want to showcase it to a larger audience." Marcus could hardly believe what he was hearing. "Wow, that sounds amazing. I would love that." "Great. We'd like to schedule a time for an interview and some footage of you and the kids in action. How does tomorrow afternoon sound?" "Tomorrow works." "Thank you so much for this opportunity," Marcus replied, excitement bubbling inside him. After hanging up, he couldn't contain his joy. He immediately called Kayla and the other members of the youth program to share the news. "You guys won't believe it. We're going to be featured on the news," he exclaimed. The teenagers erupted into cheers. "This is incredible. We have to make it awesome," Kayla said, her enthusiasm infectious. They decided to meet early the next day to prepare. Marcus wanted to ensure that the interview would capture the spirit of their program and the hard work everyone had put in. The next day, the group gathered at the community center, buzzing with excitement. They practiced what they wanted to say and discussed how they would present their ideas. "We need to show the impact we're having," Marcus encouraged them. "Let's highlight the cleanup day and how it brought the community together." As they prepared, Marcus noticed the teenagers were nervous but also eager. "Remember, this is your moment to shine. Share your passion and why you started this program. People want to hear from you," he said. Finally, the camera crew arrived, setting up their equipment. Marcus felt a surge of pride watching the teenagers step up, their nerves turning into determination. They were ready to show the world what they were capable of. Jessica introduced herself and explained how the segment would work. "We'll start with some questions, then we'll capture you in action with your community activities," she said, smiling. The interview began, and the teenagers spoke passionately about their experiences. Kayla shared how the program had empowered them to take charge and create positive change. "We want to inspire other young people to get involved and make a difference in their neighborhoods," she said, her voice steady. Marcus watched them, his heart swelling with pride. These young people had grown so much, and they were proving that age didn't define their ability to lead. After the interview, they headed outside to film the group participating in various activities. They played games, painted murals, and even shared ideas for future projects. The camera rolled, capturing the laughter and joy of their hard work. As the day went on, Marcus felt a wave of gratitude. He remembered the fear and uncertainty he had felt in the past, and now he was witnessing the incredible transformation of his life and the lives of others. The community was coming together in ways he never thought possible. Later that evening, after a long day of filming, Jessica thanked them for their time and passion. "We're excited to share your story with our viewers. You're doing something truly special here," she said before leaving. That night, as Marcus prepared for bed, he received another unexpected call. This time, it was his old friend and mentor, Mr. Johnson. "Marcus, I saw your story on the news. I'm so proud of you, my friend. You've really made a difference," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I couldn't have done this without your support all those years ago," Marcus replied, feeling a deep sense of connection to his past. "I have a suggestion for you. I know a few local organizations that might want to partner with your youth program. They could provide resources and funding to help expand what you're doing," Mr. Johnson continued. "Really? That would be incredible. I would love to connect with them," Marcus said, excited at the possibility. "Let's set up a meeting next week, and I'll introduce you. You're on the right track, Marcus. Keep pushing forward," Mr. Johnson encouraged. After the call, Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. His journey was far from over, and now it seemed that even more opportunities were unfolding before him. With a smile on his face, he drifted off to sleep, dreaming of all the lives he could continue to touch and change. The journey he had started with a simple act of kindness had turned into something much larger than he ever imagined. He was not just a hero in a moment. He was becoming a catalyst for lasting change in his community. And as he would soon find out, this was just the beginning. The ripple effect. The next morning, Marcus woke up with a sense of excitement that he hadn't felt in a long time. The news segment featuring the Youth for Change program aired later that day, and he couldn't wait to see how it turned out. After a quick breakfast, he prepared for a busy day filled with meetings and planning. As he got ready, his phone buzzed with notifications. Friends and family were sending messages of support, all eager to watch the segment. The excitement in the air was palpable, and Marcus felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. He quickly replied to messages, thanking everyone for their encouragement. Once he arrived at the community center, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. The teenagers were there, gathering in front of the big screen they had set up. They all seemed anxious but excited at the same time. "Are you ready for this?" Marcus asked, smiling at them. "Absolutely. We've worked so hard, and now everyone will see it," Kayla replied, her enthusiasm infectious. As the time for the airing approached, the room filled with laughter and nervous chatter. The local news had promised to air the segment at noon, and everyone wanted to witness it together. They gathered around the screen, eyes glued to it as the clock ticked closer to the hour. Finally, the moment arrived. The news anchor introduced the segment, highlighting the impactful story of Marcus and the Youth for Change program. The screen flickered to life, showing clips of the interview, the kids discussing their experiences, and footage of their community cleanup efforts. Marcus watched in awe as their hard work was showcased. The anchor's voice filled the room, speaking of hope, community, and the power of youth. The teenagers cheered when they saw themselves on screen, proud of their contributions. As the segment ended, the room erupted into applause. Marcus felt tears welling in his eyes. He had dreamed of making a difference, but seeing it unfold in front of him was something he couldn't have imagined. "Did you see that? We looked amazing," one of the teens shouted, jumping up and down. The others joined in, clapping and celebrating their hard work. But as the celebration continued, Marcus's phone buzzed again. It was a message from Mr. Johnson. "I saw the segment. You did a fantastic job. Let's meet next week to discuss potential partners for your program." "Absolutely. I can't wait," Marcus typed back, filled with hope for the future. After the excitement settled, Marcus gathered the group together. "I want to thank you all for your hard work and dedication. This is just the beginning. We have a chance to make an even bigger impact," he said, his voice steady. "What's next for us?" one of the teens asked, curiosity shining in her eyes. "I've been in touch with some local organizations that want to help us expand our program," Marcus replied, grinning. This means more resources, more projects, and more opportunities for all of you to lead. The group erupted into cheers once again. They began brainstorming ideas for future projects, discussing what they wanted to achieve. Ideas flowed, and Marcus felt a sense of pride as he watched them take ownership of their vision. As the weeks went by, the Youth for Change program gained momentum. With the new partnerships Marcus established, they organized community events, workshops, and mentoring programs. Each event drew more participants, and the impact on the community was becoming visible. One sunny Saturday, they hosted a community day, inviting families to join in on games, activities, and discussions about community needs. Marcus watched as the teenagers took charge, leading games for younger kids and encouraging everyone to participate. "Look at them. They're incredible," Marcus thought, beaming with pride. As the day continued, they set up booths where community members could voice their concerns and ideas. Marcus felt a sense of unity growing within the neighborhood. People were coming together, sharing stories, and connecting in ways he had only dreamed of. During the event, an older gentleman approached Marcus. "I just wanted to say thank you. I've seen a change in our community since you and these young people started this program. It's inspiring," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you for your support. It means a lot to us," Marcus replied, feeling a warmth in his heart. Later that afternoon, as the event wound down, Marcus gathered the group. "I want to celebrate everything we've accomplished together. You've all done such amazing work. Let's keep this momentum going and continue making the difference," he encouraged. The teens cheered, ready for the next challenge. They felt empowered, knowing that they had the ability to create change in their community. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the park, Marcus took a moment to reflect. He thought back to the day he saved Officer Carter and how that single act of kindness had changed the course of his life. He realized that kindness is a powerful force that can spark change, inspire others, and create a ripple effect. With each passing day, he saw that the impact of their efforts was not just limited to their community. They were inspiring others outside their neighborhood, showcasing the importance of unity, compassion, and resilience. As Marcus looked at the smiling faces around him, he knew that this was just the beginning of a long journey. They had much more to accomplish, and together, they would continue to create waves of positive change, proving that a single act of kindness could lead to a movement. And so, the story of the Youth for Change program continued to unfold, one act of kindness at a time, inspiring others to join the cause and making the world a better place for everyone.